Everybody ready?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. All right, we'll call to order the Public Safety Committee meeting for January 14th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Anderson,
Here.
Bergery,
Here.
Rolfs,
Here.
Mensch,
Here.
Marcier,
Here.
Delar,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Cahill,
Here.
Mayor. 9 present.
Any public comment? Seeing none. Guess we'll skip over the auxiliary because Eric's not here and you don't have it, right? Okay. Little Chief Buyer.
All right. Good evening, council. Calls for December. We end up having 3 working fires. First responder calls, we had 8. EMS calls, 28. Motor vehicle accidents, 3. Automatic alarms were 8. And then for other, we had 11. You want me to continue on, or?
Yeah.
Let's go back.
Finish yours.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, go ahead and
All
finish.
right. So that finished out the month for 61 calls total for us. For the month of December for training, we had an equipment review, mainly EMS, did a little bit of fire. We also critiqued a couple fires that we've had. And then we did ice rescue suit review. We got them out, got them ready because we'll be doing ice rescue training here within the next month or so on the ice itself. Personnel, we do have 4 personnel right now that are in the EMTB class. They're actually taking that in Limestone is where it's at. It's an after-hour course on Mondays and Wednesdays. So we got 4 enrolled in that. They just started it. Equipment, 2951, which is the new ambulance. It's at Ford right now getting its full service. And once we get back when it gets back from that, we have just a little bit of work to do, but that was the biggest thing we had to have done was the work done at Ford. And they're just new tires and brakes is the biggest thing. And when it gets back, we'll be submitting the paperwork to the state. So we're looking at this next month. It should be up and running and in service. So we're looking forward to that. Miscellaneous. The only thing that we had going on there was a coloring contest that was put on by Family Fest. And anyways, as the fire department, we picked the winners, 1 from each grade. And we went ahead and gave the kids a ride to school. It was all at Glen Raymond before Christmas break. They actually did pretty good. There was a lot more participants than we thought. So that was kind of exciting for them. And then just a quick review. I gave everybody, hopefully they got it, a review of our rundown of our year. Shows the total calls for fire and EMS. There's a couple things that were highlighted in there. Just for your knowledge, it shows the average response time. So last year, our average response time overall was 10 minutes and 35 seconds, roughly, give or take. Now, keep in mind that averages every call. And as you can see, this year we dropped it down to 7 minutes and 57 seconds. So that's fairly impressive. Now, keep in mind that does take into account for the time of the call, for the time we were actually on scene. Some of the numbers that make it a little bit longer, because an overall average of every call, is if we have to go out of town to somewhere else, obviously that's a longer response time. So that also plays a factor in those numbers. Had a good turnout this year. Way busier than we've ever been naturally. I was really surprised with fire and EMS. As you can see, it was basically split down the middle, 50-50. So that's good. We installed, smoke detector wise, we installed, I think 110 smoke detectors this last year in homes. So that was good. Now those are obviously the 10-year battery, and we try to promote that, and we try to push that every chance we get so we can go in and get those put in. We had 11 members that went ahead and took classes this last year through the state fire marshal. So we have 11 members that actually took state certified classes, which is pretty impressive. That's a lot of hours they put in on their own to do this. And we also had 6 members in the last year that went on to the fire academy, and they all got their BOF. It used to be Fire 2. Of course, the state changed that. Now it's called BOF, Basic Operations Firefighter, what they call it. So that's pretty impressive. For a total of, we got 28 people on the roster right now, and 5 of them are not BOF certified or went through the fire academy, and that is mainly because they have not had the opportunity, to do it yet. So I feel we're moving along pretty good. Some of the highest numbers we've had in quite a while with people with the education side. So I'm pretty impressed with that, that everybody's kind of stepping up and taking it pretty serious. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report. Is there any questions?
I've got something for you. I sent you an email. You can let your rank and file know, and anybody else that you know, ISO 300, 400 class available in Champaign coming up end of February. It's going to be sponsored through TEEX. It's
Okay.
going to be, apparently it's a free class. Champaign EMA is putting it out.
Good.
They've got 18 current. They need like 28 in order to hold it.
Okay.
So if you know of anybody, if you're anybody on our department that's interested or that needs it, or any surrounding departments, pass the word along.
Absolutely.
'Cause they need to have sign-ups like fairly quick, but I sent you the email. If you got any questions, you know how to find me.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, those are hard classes to come by that are close.
Yeah, especially the ones that are free.
Yep. So,
Anybody else? Seeing that, we will backpedal without calling Eric out for the auxiliary.
Sorry, I work in every day, just try to get here in time. All right, for the, back in December, we did have a couple calls. We had calls for officers to secure what potentially would be a crime scene. I wrote it as a crime scene. I should not write it that way. I should write it as potentially, because we don't know until we get there, or until things have been investigated. So we spent some decent amount of hours there. Several of us were there to secure a building while we're waiting for the crime scene unit to arrive to give the clear. We did have our meeting afterwards on the 10th, because it was backwards last month, from this meeting and our auxiliary meeting. And we just discussed the events from the month prior and things that were going on that we had taken care of on the 3rd for that potential crime scene event. And then we also had to monitor a juvenile at the jail until the family services were arriving. And then we did it again the following day here at the police department, watching over a juvenile, but they had some issues, and so that was taken care of. No real issues after that. It was pretty easy. We did send the squad in for repair. They would not start. I guess there was a battery issue, and the vehicle sometimes moves a lot, sometimes it sits a lot. So we now have a tender on it when the vehicle is not being utilized, so that it doesn't have any issues starting if we need to get out immediately. The winter caps that you folks approved did arrive, and we got those distributed amongst the officers. Thank you again. And in our January meeting we had on 7th, there was a low attendance. We had some people who had to go into work, and then we had some sickness. But nevertheless, we did move forward and did some discussing about what's going on with the squad and how to operate it with being connected. You can't just drive off with it. We explained how that gets used and so forth. Also, the auxiliary, when on duty with full-time officers, will be wearing body cams. So that was discussed as well. They'll be fitted for that and train how to use that so that we have more observance, not just from the full-time officers, but you'll have a second view from an auxiliary in case there might be a piece of evidence that's missing that one of the auxiliaries may capture. So it protects us as well as the people we're around. Other than that, that is all I have to report, unless you have any questions for me. Thank you very much.
Next, we have NIDA with the police.
No report.
No, what's that?
No report.
No report. Okay. Anybody have anything else? Seeing none, we have a motion for adjournment.
We
How
gonna
about
hear
police?
the police?
What's that?
That
Number
guy
7.
sitting right there.
Yeah, I skipped over Mark. Mark Harris
Wow.
with the police department.
First chance to sit down,
Jeez.
he just looks over you. Oh, man.
So Chief's under the weather tonight, so he asked me to come in. Our total calls for December was 324. He also passed out a yearly stats thing and a couple of the highlights there is the traffic stops went up by 200. The domestics went down, so that's good. So that's basically the highlights there. We are down a squad car, so due to that, Sergeant Pulio and Officer Douglas both had take-home cars because they live here in town. So they've brought the cars back, so we make sure we have enough cars in rotation. If the cars aren't being used, they'll be in the garage, except for the one that's down, it's out in the parking lot. So it's already been over to the body shop. The insurance company's been contacted, and I think they're waiting on a determination on what they're gonna do with the vehicle. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
I do have a question.
Yes, he's fine.
In that particular incident with the police chase,
Yes.
was that only Watsika police that was involved in that? It was multiple
There was
districts?
KMEG, St. Anne. The state police were not in the pursuit, but they were in the area because according to their policies, they're not allowed to pursue at all.
Okay.
So, and then there was a stolen vehicle task force officers were also involved.
Well, I do want to say that, you know, given the nature of that chase and the involvement, you guys did a great job at, you know, helping out and getting that addressed before someone got hurt.
When we first heard on the radio that the pursuit was coming towards Watsika, we had officers stationed at the West Junction and diverted them from coming into town. But he went to Crescent and unfortunately came back to town. So our first attempt worked. He went out of town, but our second attempt, like I said, he came back into town. The good news is nobody got hurt. The suspect, officers, nobody got hurt or injured, and he was caught and detained, so.
No, we really appreciate that. Good work.
No pun intended, but pursuant to the pursuit, would you bring what would be prices for equipping this department with stop sticks and the training that goes along with it?
I actually was trying to order stop sticks probably 2 years ago because for some reason we had a lot of pursuits that came to Watsika.
They seem to find their way through our
Yes.
community, no matter where it starts, they
Yes.
come through here.
So
The only other department that I'm aware of in the county that has a set is Milford.
Milford has
They
a
have
set.
one set, but
So a couple years ago when I looked into it, I think it was gonna be around, I wanna say $300 to $400 for a set. And it's the kind that like fold out.
Right.
So if one section gets tore up, you don't have to buy a whole
the
new
whole
set.
thing.
You just
Yep.
get a new
Replace
section.
what you need.
So we are gonna look into those again, so.
Because I think it would be smart to have at least one set on the street at all times. If they've got to change hands at shift change, they change hands. It's not a difficult procedure, but it's the training. Everybody's going to
Right.
have to go through stop stick training.
Yep.
So I don't know how readily available that is, but if you wouldn't mind,
The company that I was looking at puts on a training when
Okay.
you buy 'em,
so you can find their way and bring that information back. I think that would be something that we would,
can
at
do
least,
that.
I would entertain a motion at buying. I think we need to equip our officers and everything they get and every tool in the toolbox.
And if the price is around $300 to $400, I would like to get two just in case.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I'd like to see
one
at least that.
officer's
Yep.
over here and the chase is over here.
Yep, exactly.
We both have one, so.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, now we need a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody need a break or anything? Okay, code enforcement. Kathy, would you roll call for us?
Baragry.
Here.
Mensch.
Here.
Cahill. Miller.
Here.
Delar.
Here.
Marcia.
Here.
Rolfs.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Mayor. Mayor. 9 present.
I love that delay.
Okay, do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to Eric Brandt.
Thanks, Don. Ordinance citations, 5 warning 5 warnings, 1 citation. You know, Christmas season, no municipal court in December. Should have some more for February. IDNR flood mitigation, I put this back on here. We are closing on one property, 101 Fiddler Court, and that's gonna be this week, Thursday the 16th. Is an additional 559 North 4th Street. They've got a contract that just needs to be approved by the Attorney General down at the state, and we'll be closing on that one. And then we have also acquired 513 West Franklin from the county agent. That's gonna be included in the flood mitigation also. So I was hoping to group those 3 together as far as demolitions instead of doing them singly, and hopefully save a little bit of money on the demolitions. 1223 Sugar Creek Court, Prairie Storage. So, you know, they were looking to do an additional storage building out there. They did all the site plan, site work, engineering site plans. Some of that's located in the floodplain. They incorporated stormwater retention, detention, compensatory storage. They went through all the hoops and got to pricing out the project, and it was not feasible economically. So he's proposing now, if you folks would approve it, is to do outside storage. He's already got a variance for gravel parking. He's proposing to do it on top of the raised area where his addition was gonna go, or additional building. I talked to Keith Mulholland with Robinson about it. You know, would he need to submit another site plan and go through all the review process again? And he agreed that as long as he removes soil to compensate for the gravel that he's bringing in, he wouldn't require that. So it's kind of, you know, in council's hands if you're in favor in allowing him to do outside storage out there.
You said this would be fenced in?
Pardon?
You said this would be enclosed in a fence?
Yes. He didn't mention screen fencing, you know, chain link fencing, I believe, you know, and that's just for protection of the storage.
I would like to see, as far as looks go, if we can get some cover on the fence, in some fashion, tall as you can get it, and block it off so that all that's not seen,
Okay,
at least to the highway side.
okay.
Can get pretty.
Anything else on outside storage for Prairie Store?
Do we need a motion?
CIPS Street, this is really a preliminary. Well, I don't know if it's a go or no go, but I've had some outreach. They're proposing another cell tower down there. It's out by the T&D facilities. There's already a cell tower out there now, further down the street. So I'm just making you aware of what may be coming up. Crime-free rental coordinator. So I put that on there, and I gave everybody the description of what the crime-free rental coordinator's duties are. You know, it's supposed to be my appointment. I can appoint a civilian or police. In my opinion, I think a police officer in that position is the best fit. The name of the ordinance is crime-free rental. I handle pretty much everything. The coordinator would handle if there's problems with the property, which Jeremy, you know, already, you know, me and Jeremy talks. If there's a problem property, we're talking about it, we're dealing with it. But then his other duty would be to conduct the seminars and, you know, keep me up to date on who attends the seminars. And if you recall, the seminars need to be offered virtually now, online, via Zoom or whatever. So I put that on there. I mean, you know, we've been without a coordinator now since Bill left back in, what was it, August, September? So it's something you guys need to think about. And I've talked to Jeremy about it also. 211 South Yount, so we had our zoning or variance hearing on the garage variance. And the committee approved it. You got the ordinance in front of you, but that's for your council vote, what is that, 28th, I believe, end of the month. He's proposing a second garage, and he's exceeding the height by 2 feet and square footage by about 400 square feet.
That had to get rezoned then, or no?
No.
No.
It's residential, and it's gonna maintain residential. He's not proposing to use it for any sort of business use. He's a collector car guy, and he wants more room for his collector cars, and he's got a new pickup truck, and he'd like to get that indoors also.
Okay, we need a vote on that?
Nope,
Okay.
that'll be for council. Any other questions on the proposed variance? Floodplain ordinance update, so, you know, been working on this, over a year. We've been waiting on, the state approval of the new ordinance that, we had drafted. It was based on the state model floodplain ordinance. They were dragging their feet on their approval. Well, now come to find out, FEMA is looking at the, state's model ordinance, and I guess they think that there's some problems with that one. So, we don't have the approval from the state yet, so it's not in front of you guys to vote on. We may have to do some tweaking depending on what FEMA does with the state floodplain, proposed model floodplain ordinance. And then I put other on here, and I've got a few items. So 617 South Fifth, you know, we had the fire down there. We were seeking a demolition order. We now have that in hand. I guess the question is, you know, Lauren, you know, he thinks he can demolish both those structures with his crew and his equipment. You know, would you guys be up for something like that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, you know, with the cleanups and different things that Lauren's done, he's been real good about submitting hours, equipment hours, man hours, you know, to file the liens, just the same as what we would do with a demolition lien. So.
Then we would submit a lease against the homeowner, landlord,
It's against the property.
or against the property, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, again, those demolition liens, a lot of them, they're going through the tax sales, and when they go through the county clears the title. And then back to 211 South Yount, and not so much that one, but, you know, he grumbled a little bit about the $300. So to do a variance, a rezoning, it's a $300 fee. There's been some grumbling about that the folks think that's maybe too much money. So I talked to Kathy this afternoon, the zoning committee members, they get paid $55 per meeting. So for the 7 members, you know, when they're all here, that's $385. Plus my time, my salary, you know, to be here for the, so we're already over the 300. Advertising, the last one we did, that was another $90. And then we also had the city attorney involved in that at $190 an hour, I believe is what he charges. He drafts the ordinance, and then he also drafts the notice that goes into publication. So, you know, he's got some dollars there. So you add it all up, you know, it may be, you know, you're probably looking at a 50-50 deal, you know. Sure, the property owner that wants to build that extra garage or do that rezoning, yeah, they got to come up with $300, but, you know, the city's probably chipping in as close to the same amount. So I just wanted to put that out there publicly. You know, the $300 is not exorbitant in any way, shape, or form.
It's because the zoning board has to be involved and approve it, right?
Correct. And the good thing about that is the notification. You know, I put the sign out there in the yard. It makes the neighbors aware of what's being built, what's going on. So, you know, if they have a problem with it, they're able to voice their opinions, which the ones that I've been involved with so far, nobody's really voiced a negative opinion. Also wanted to bring you up to date. You know, we had another acquisition demolition grant that we've applied for, 4461.43. I applied for this back in November 2020. It looked like we was getting real close to approval. you know, December 20th, 23rd, you know, I thought we were gonna get the grant, and, it seems to be the case. We, got bumped again. Now they want to do what's called a large project notification because it's over $1 million. It's, $2,470,860, $470,860. So it's 25 properties. Some of these were in the IDNR grant. They were the alternate properties, the rental properties. We didn't feel that there was enough money in that IDNR grant to cover all the properties. And then in addition, there were some flooded properties that were not included in the IDNR grant, and those were picked up in this one also. So, you know, we should, you know, it still should happen. I just, the next hiccup here, I don't know what it's gonna take to get past it, but I just kinda wanna bring you up to date where we're at on that. Any questions? It's been a long haul.
Okay. We're down to other. Does anybody else got
I
anything
got
else?
one more, Don,
One more
before
other.
Keep going.
before you go into that. So, we've been talking about this commercial solar facility out here at the Barker property near the Walmart, and I know there's some that not in favor of hearing that. So I heard today from, this afternoon, from an Alex, he's the attorney for the reactive solar, and he's looking into moving that project forward. So he had questions about the variance, which they're under 40 acres, the special use, which is required by ordinance, and then part of the property is not within the city limits, they're gonna have to annex in. He asked if all three of those could be done with one meeting, and I did not have that answer. That's a mouthful there. I referred him to Attorney Kankar, but I just wanted to bring you up to date that, yeah, they're still looking at doing something out there. And that's all I have done, so.
Okay, you gave me a sheet here. Did you want to discuss anything on that?
So, yeah, Don mentioned that today, the historic preservation, historic district downtown that Carlisle's been working on, you know, that you approved to let him move forward. You know, Don wanted to know where he was at, and I sent an email up to Carlisle, and he says impeccable timing, received an email from State Historic Preservation Office an hour ago. They have accepted all portions of our nomination, but now have requested information regarding the historic nature of the parking lots within the district. And please don't ask me about the parking lots, because I have no idea what those have to do with the historic district.
So, another day, huh? Okay, on others, anybody have anything else? Benny?
Nope.
Ami? Dennis?
Nope.
Brandon?
Nope.
Scott? Nothing? Okay. I do have one thing here. Spring is coming, and I notice there's a couple areas that we have a lot of junk accumulated. One of them is on West Hickory, over by QSE. Another one is on the corner of North 6th and Elm Street. There's several campers and trailers and stuff all around the house, and some boats and pontoons. And anyway, we haven't had anybody for the crime-free rental, and that was Bill's, and he was also doing a lot of the cars and stuff like that, getting rid of them. So we need to get somebody in that position so we can get some of this taken care of before it mushrooms even bigger after spring gets here. So I don't know if that's going to be with the police or how we're getting that coordinated, but as a council, we need to be thinking about that. Anything else? Okay, I move for adjournment.
So move.